southbound 170, stop-and-go pockets south of Olive down to 64, westbound 64. From Kings Highway to McCausland's backed up. Both directions of 64 between 270 and 170 are slow. Eastbound's Blues game traffic, obviously. Westbound from Clarkson all the way to the Boone Bridge is heavy. That's due to a recent crash. 270 both ways between Manchester and Olive, pretty busy. Southbound stop-and-go pockets, those south of 364. And then again from 44 down to Tesson Ferry is busy. Northbound, the right lane's Dorset up to 70 due to a recent crash. Downtown, eastbound 64. Heavy east of Jefferson to the Poplar, eastbound 70 slow from O'Fallon Park. Some of that's folks avoiding up 270 up north. Are you considering life insurance? Penn Mutual's accelerated client experience makes applying for life insurance fast and easy. Ask your independent advisor or go to pennmutual.com/STL. I'm Roger Brand at the Michaels Flooring Outlet.com Traffic Center.
News, traffic, and the latest from the world of sports. This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It's Thursday on Rush Hour Sports here on KMOX. Matt, Pauley, Kevin Wheeler hanging out with you here. And obviously no sports open line. Or do we have a little sports open line tonight, man? I forget. Yeah, I get a little bit till 6:30, right?
Correct.
And then Thursday night football.
Interesting game.
Yeah, it
Ravens,
is.
Dolphins. I think the Ravens probably roll, but they have not been very good this year.
No, but they do have Lamar Jackson back tonight, and that should help them. And the Dolphins are awful. They're both, record-wise, they're both awful. 2-5, 2-6. But I think Baltimore's clearly better than their record. But they've had a combination of a tough schedule and an injured quarterback. So
they're the favorites to win their division, and they're a 2-win team.
Yeah, I mean, they're better than their record for sure. We'll just see how it plays out if they can play enough catch-up. Kind of like the Blues. Although the Blues were never the favorite to win the division, but we'll see if they can catch up to expectations at least at some point. If you're watching on the stream, feel free to throw us whatever you like. You're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Feel free to throw us questions, comments, opinions as we're going along. Get a lot to do. We'll start with baseball. We'll transition into a little college football later on. And if it sounds like I got a little Cindy Brady lisp going on, it's because I bit my damn tongue yesterday. So,
oh no.
What are you going to do? It's just there for now, and we'll deal with it. It doesn't hurt. It just sounds a little weird. It's like got a little of that going on. All right, let's jump in on the Cardinals, Matt, because not that it's a big shock, but because we hadn't heard anything since the initial Instagram announcement that Yadier Molina was looking to manage or coach in the majors or in Mexico. But Katie Wu had a story today saying the Cardinals are not likely to hire Yadier Molina to the major league coaching staff this year, but they are still looking at another role. Like they're still talking about that with him. How's that strike you, if it strikes you at all?
I'm not surprised. And I think they would like to have him in the organization if possible. He's got to figure out what exactly he wants to do. I know he sent out the social media message, but that doesn't mean that he did not define what role he was really looking for if he wasn't going to be a manager somewhere.
Right.
So we don't really know what he wants. We don't know what those conversations were like. Is there a possibility that it does kind of go back to what it was supposed to be, 3 years ago, when he was going to come in as a special assistant, and that was going to include him spending some time in the dugout? We saw him do that this past year.
Yeah.
Is there an opportunity for him to come in a weekend here, a weekend there, kind of join the coaching staff? I think this is more up to him. And then the big elephant in the room is what happens with Albert Pujols, because if he ends up getting a managerial job, he continues to be connected to the Padres. Is there a possibility that Molina joins him on that coaching staff? So, no, this doesn't surprise me or shock me or any of those things. But I also don't think it closes the door for Molina to be part of the organization.
No, I would agree with that. In fact, you could see some kind of hybrid role where he can do what he did this past season a little bit more often, right? Yeah. Where you pop in maybe once a month instead of just a couple of times during the year. And maybe that means an extended run in spring training where you can have him work with the catchers, which would be incredibly valuable, because anybody that followed the team knows that, for his entire time as the, quote, starting catcher for the Cardinals, he was really also kind of a catching coach. All the young catchers followed him around in spring training like little ducks following their mama. And he would lead early morning drills and they'd go hit in the cage together. And I think there would be a lot of value in having him in some kind of role like that. And look, there would be value in him on a major league staff too, but they've got to make these decisions. And you don't want to leave other coaches hanging for a maybe. And I think that, mean, I'm not saying that that's what's exactly happening, but they did also, or Katie did also report in that story that the coaching staff is coming back largely intact. A couple of changes with assistant pitching and hitting coaches moving into more organizational roles to oversee things. But again, not major changes, and certainly nobody's leaving the organization from the major league staff from last year.
No, that's like you said, there's some guys who are going to be no longer uniformed coaching staff, but they are going to be part of the organization doing some important things. They're changing up their medical staff a little bit with the way that's going to run. They're going to try to uniform it across the system. And just one more thing on Yadi while we're talking about that potential role. I spent 2 years in the Kansas City Royals organization working with their low A team as a broadcaster. And occasionally, 1-2 times a year, Kansas City would send in a former player, a former Royals player, and they would spend about a week with the team.
Yeah.
And they would be a special instructor during that week in season. So you have special instructors during spring training, and they would be embedded. They'd be on the bus. They'd be on the road. They'd be doing everything. And it was so impactful, Kevin. Guys were so excited to see these former big leaguers, guys that they knew come in.
Yeah.
What would it mean to guys at Springfield and at Quad Cities and at not Quad Cities, at Peoria rather. I was going back to when I was working in the Midwest League in Quad Cities with the Cardinals affiliate. What would it mean to these teams all of a sudden to have Yadi or Molina walk in and be with them for a week? I think there's a ton of value if he could have that type of role.
Totally agree. And again, I don't know. We don't know anything about how this is going to play. Some of this has to do with what Yadi wants. And maybe he is waiting to see if something else pops up. I mean, who knows? We were kicking this around via text earlier. If Albert gets a managerial job, who knows? Maybe he goes and he's the bench coach for Albert or has a role with his buddy. We have no idea. But I don't think it's a crisis either way. I think this guy is incredibly helpful, and Albert too. I mean, don't get me wrong; both of them are potentially impact guys when it comes to instructing, coaching, managing, whatever. And in 5 years they could both be managers. But typically speaking, people don't just go from retirement to managing. Think of all the people you can think of that have made the jump recently. Maybe Stephen Vogt was I think Stephen Vogt did some front office time before he was a manager as well. Yeah. 1 year.
1 year, I believe. Yeah.
So typically there's a bridge of some kind. You're working as a broadcaster for a team. You're working with the front office, something along those lines. That's not unusual.
But Albert's done that.
That's true.
He's been on that personal services contract. He's done a lot of work with the Angels in a lesser way. Yadi did do that this past year when he came in and helped out a little bit, much lesser way. But I absolutely would argue that Albert checks that same box based off the work he's done with the Angels.
Yes. And on the Albert thing, I'm a little surprised that there wasn't more interest from the teams that are hiring managers across the board. Although maybe there was, and it wasn't interesting to him. I mean, we got to keep that in mind, that he may not have had any interest in being in Washington, given their current circumstance. He may not have had any interest in Minnesota, given the fact they just traded away 10 players at the trade deadline, and they're clearly starting a rebuild. So I should probably rephrase that question, because it may be that he just didn't have interest in some of those jobs. Would you be surprised if he doesn't get an offer for the Padres job?
I mean, no. Because I could see us. I think they're going to know whether or not he would say yes or no before they would give him an offer. Like they spoke for 9.5 hours yesterday. So would I be surprised if they offered him and he said no? Yeah, that would surprise me a little bit, but I don't think they offer him unless they're very confident that he's going to say yes. Like they went through all the different things, and it's not going to shock me if he doesn't get that job. I don't think there's any guarantee that he's going to end up in San Diego. And the other thing you didn't bring up, Kevin, is money. Because Albert Pujols is Albert Pujols. And because he's Albert Pujols, he's going to make a whole lot more money than the first-year managers that are getting hired right and left across Major League Baseball.
Yeah, he's not going to take what Blake Butera is getting in Washington.
No, Absolutely not. And he doesn't need this job either. If you're a Blake Butera, somebody offers you a big league managerial job, you take it. So that's where the San Diego thing might not actually be that appealing to him, in the sense that you've got a president of baseball operations on the final year of his contract. Right. He doesn't know who his boss would be in 1 year. So, yeah,
And they have a weird ownership thing.
They do.
Peter Seidler passed away. There's a family kind of, I don't want to say struggle, but maybe battle, debate about who's going to stay in charge and all that. So, yeah.
It won't shock me if he does not get a managerial job. If he were to go into this offseason and he would have said, I want to be a manager no matter what, in any city, in any situation, at any price, then yes, if that was his attitude about it, it would shock me if he wasn't a major league manager. I doubt that is his attitude.
Totally agree. A side note on that, it's funny, I heard Lance Lynn today with Mike Farron, who was on the Gas House Gang today. But Mike, I was asking him about these things, and Lance Lynn's like, he was joking about not coming back. He's not going to play. And he goes, I'm not going to coach at this point. He goes, they don't pay coaches enough to deal with guys like me. So, like, for a guy like Lance Lynn, who made a lot of money, not Albert money, but made a lot of money, he's like, yeah, it's not worth all that for what they'll pay me for that. So that's kind of what we're talking about with Albert in a more serious way.
The Cubs paying Craig Counsell what they pay him is that's not the rule here. Major League Baseball teams do not want to open up the checkbook for managers. They view that as a position more often than not where they can do it somewhat cheaply and still get somebody that they're comfortable with in there. It's unfortunate. I hate saying these words, but credit to the Cubs for spending the money on a guy who they felt was a difference-making manager, but that's the exception to the rule in Major League Baseball.
All right, coming up next, a little more baseball. We got some college football. We're going to talk about Eli Drinkwitz a little bit later on, and whether or not somebody might be able to poach him, and whether or not he should let someone poach him, because I think there's two sides to that argument. And we'll talk about both of those things in a little bit. Up next, though, more on baseball and on the World Series. Blue Jays up 3-2 going into Game 6 in Toronto tomorrow night. I want to make the case that it's better for baseball if the Dodgers lose. We'll talk about that next up here on KMOX.
It's the Medicare Advantage annual enrollment period, and Humana knows not everyone has the same needs when picking a Medicare Advantage plan.
Now that I'm retired, I want to enjoy the life I've worked hard to build. So I want a plan that covers me when I'm traveling the country.
Humana has a plan for that.
As a veteran, I want a plan that fills in the gaps my VA coverage doesn't provide, like dental care.
Humana has a plan for that.
I feel good about my health. I just want care and coverage with predictable costs. No surprises.
Humana has a plan for that. With a Humana Medicare Advantage plan, you get coverage and benefits that focus on what matters most to you. Learn more at gethumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a Medicare Advantage HMO and PPO organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
i3 Broadband. You are not going to get better internet in the St. Louis area than i3 Broadband. Really, the only question is, are they available in your neighborhood? They're always adding more and more neighborhoods. They are very much a growing company in the St. Louis area. They are who I use in my home. I've been using them for a while. I was using them before I was talking to you about them, and I'm glad I've got the opportunity to share what they're all about. It's pretty basic. The messaging when it comes to good internet is really simple. It's fast, 1 gig, 2 gig, 8 gigs. You choose your package. Upload speed, download speed is always mirrored. It's reliable. You don't have to worry about it dropping for random reasons. All of a sudden, a little tiny storm comes through, and the next thing you know, you don't have internet for 3 hours. Yeah, that doesn't happen with i3 Broadband. And the pricing is spectacular. I spend less money on the package I have. I've got the 2 gig up, 2 gig down package. I'm spending less money now than I did with the cable company. And when I had the cable company, I had 1 gig download. I don't even know what the upload speed was. It was pretty terrible. So find out if they're available in your neighborhood. Go to the website, i3broadband.com, i3broadband.com. You can also call them. You got questions. Sometimes people hear the word broadband. It's internet. It's home internet. But if you got any questions about what I'm talking about, I've only got about a minute or so to tell you. They can talk to you as long as you need to talk and answer whatever questions you might have. Just give them a call, 877-976-0711. One more time, 877-976-0711. Again, i3broadband.com.
This is James Hawkins, president of Golden Oak. I am excited to announce the opening of Golden Oak Premier Realty. That means we're your one-stop shop for financing and buying your home. One team, one goal, your home. Not moving? Now is still the time. Your home's equity is higher than ever. And with our 4.5% mortgage rate, you could save over $1,000 every month. Use your equity to pay off high-interest credit cards, lower your monthly payment, or even skip 2 months of mortgage payments. And don't forget, if your loan doesn't close, we'll pay for your appraisal. We make the process fast and easy, often getting your cash in as little as 14 days. Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing, call Golden Oak today and let us put our 25 years of experience to work for you. Call 314-567-GOLD.
Golden Oak Landing, short my blues.
5.442 APR, FHA 15-year, 20% equity, qualified credit, additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
Brought to you by Eamon Gantner and Capriano, yourestatematters.com. Hi, Margaret with Eamon Gantner and Capriano. Before you packed your child off to college, did you get a power of attorney for them? Eamon Gantner and Capriano, yourestatematters.com.
The choice of an attorney is an important decision and shouldn't be based solely on advertising.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, it looks like we still have a couple of crashes in North County. Eastbound 270 now. We've got one just east of 367. It's jammed at Old Halls Ferry, and then it jams, 40, 50 yards east of there, maybe 100 yards. And it goes all the way up to Riverview where they're clearing a crash right at the Chain of Rocks. The original one was at the Canal Bridge, so we still have troubles there. If you're on North 170, it's slow from 70 up to Airport Road. South 170, Delmar down to 64 Pockets. Westbound 64, Kings Highway headed out through Bellevue's heavy. Lindbergh out to 270. Clarkson most of the way to the Boone Bridge, and then 364 out through the Boulevard. Then it's improving. Blues game traffic eastbound 64, Chesterfield Parkway West to Timberlake, and from Lindbergh all the way through the Interbelt. South 270 backs up south of 364. Down through Olive, both ways between Olive and Manchester are busy, and southbound is slow in a couple of spots from 44 down to Gravois. After that, southbound 55 just a little slow at Bates. On the Illinois side, westbound 64 still a jam approaching 158 midway into Greenmount, and downtown eastbound 70 O'Fallon Park headed past the Poplars pretty slow. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
All right, Rush Hour Sports on KMOX. Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here till 6 o'clock. And then Matt will have a little sports open line until 6:30. And then we get into Thursday Night Football with the Ravens and the Dolphins down in Miami. All right, Matt, I threw this out there before the break. And anybody, by the way, if you're watching on stream or whatever, you want to throw in your 2 cents, go right ahead. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, you can just throw it right into the chat there. It'll be all good. But I think it's so much better for Major League Baseball if the Dodgers lose this series for so many reasons. One, just the vibe, the fact that it isn't some big evil empire. I mean, they won 93 games. Yeah, they're in the World Series, but if they get beat in the World Series, they're beatable. And let's be real. I don't think the playoffs are proof of this. I don't think the World Series is proof of this. The calendar is proof of this. They're getting old, too. You know, Mookie Betts had a bad year this year, and he's getting older, and he's still making a lot of money for a long time, and Freddie Freeman's getting older. I think it's better for the game if they go down in this series and the rest of Major League Baseball fans can calm down a little bit.
Yeah, it's a nice narrative as well that the big bad Dodgers didn't win the World Series. It also, in a roundabout way, Kevin, shows you that you can come back from a 70 some odd win season,
78 wins last year for the Blue Jays,
and come back the next season and do something special. Like there are teams that punt on seasons when they don't need to punt on that season. And what the Blue Jays have done, they've been told no by so many players that they wanted to give tons of money to, because players, for whatever reason, have not wanted to go play in Toronto. And maybe that changes now. Maybe them being in the World Series opens up the door that players are going to look at that as a more viable path to a championship. But Toronto has just gone and gone and gone and gone and gone. I was there last year when the Cardinals were there. That was their first year after redoing their stadium. It looked fantastic. It felt fantastic. They were a terrible team, and they were selling the place out because of how great of an environment it was inside of that ballpark. There's many things about the Toronto Blue Jays that I think other teams in Major League Baseball can look to.
And most of their turnaround was done internally.
It was.
I mean,
I got better.
So they spent some money, right? They spent on Anthony Santander, but he stunk. He didn't help them at all. Max Scherzer
he's not there now.
No, that's what I'm saying. But I mean, he was their big free agent, and he didn't help them at all this year. So again, he didn't help that offense one bit. They signed Max Scherzer, but that wasn't huge money. It was something that almost anybody can. Hoffman was probably the most productive free agent signing, is the closer that comes in and saves 33 games. But most of the outside help was of the moderate range, right? The doable range for most teams, with the exception of Santander, but he didn't have a part of this. So I think that too is a great thing for baseball.
Santander that was a desperation. Everybody else has said no to us. Let's throw way too much money at this guy just to save face. I mean, that's what they won despite that move, not because of that move.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a really good story, and I'm happy. And we'll see. I mean, look, the Dodgers can easily go win 2 games in a row and win the World Series. Let's not crown
absolutely
Toronto
true. Absolutely true.
But today is the first day since the Major League Baseball playoffs started, and probably the first day since sometime in June or July that we woke up and the Dodgers were no longer the favorites to win the World Series.
Yeah, and I think it also kills the narrative, too, when it comes to building toward collective bargaining about how it's all so unfair and out of whack. Well, the highest paid teams, if the Dodgers lose, all of the big top 3 or 4 payrolls didn't win it. Now, Toronto's the 5th payroll. So it's not little guy beating big guy, but it's the team that's way, there's 3 teams that are way out ahead of everybody else. And none of them would be the winner if the Blue Jays can finish this thing. So
this is going to be, can I ask a really dumb question?
Sure.
Because I talked to somebody once, because it was on the conversation of should Montreal come back? And basically it was like, look, a Canadian market already has some things going against it. And Montreal's just not big enough. Toronto works because of how big it is. When we're talking about them being the 5th highest payroll, are we talking in terms of, has that been converted into American dollars?
I think so. Because they have to pay in American dollars. Okay. All contracts are in U.S. dollars.
All right. I don't even know how all that.
Yeah.
I just know that is something that plays against Montreal, because not only are they a small market, but then when you start to do the conversion, it has a negative impact.
All right. That's Matt Pauley. I'm Kevin Wheeler. Stick around. We got the news coming up. And after that, a little college football and some Eli Drinkwitz talk here on KMOX.
Explore passion and romance as the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra performs 2 of the most exhilarating pieces in orchestral music. Violinist Nikolai Shep-Schneider showcases his virtuosity as he soars through Tchaikovsky's Violin Concerto, and music director Stefan Denev leads the SLSO in Rachmaninoff's breathtakingly beautiful Second Symphony. Experience this unforgettable performance November 1st and 2nd. Tickets available at slso.org.
It's Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates, the doctor's doctors, 314-966-5000 or online at youridoc.com.
Sponsored by Progressive. We make the claims process easy so you can get back on the road in no time. It's why over 43 million drivers trust Progressive. See for yourself at progressive.com.
At 5:30, we have a mix of sun and clouds, 57 degrees downtown at the Arch. Our top story, Congresswoman Nikki Baczynski posted on Facebook that her office has received deeply troubling reports that a beloved member of the Staunton community, local business owner, father, and resident of over 20 years, was detained by ICE today after dropping his children off at school. She says this is unacceptable. Myself and Senator Durbin are working urgently to obtain information about this status and to ensure that he is released and reunited with his family immediately. Meanwhile, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has ordered the military to send dozens of attorneys to help the Justice Department in Memphis near the Mexico border. The Trump administration is restricting the number of refugees admitted annually to the United States to 7,500. That will bring mostly all white South Africans. It's a dramatic drop after the U.S. previously allowed in hundreds of thousands of people fleeing war and persecution from around the world. A federal judge in Boston seems skeptical of the Trump administration's plan to stop funding the SNAP food aid program and amid the government shutdown. That hearing today is in front of U.S. District Judge Talwani, and it came 2 days after, or 2 days before, rather, the day the U.S. Department of Agriculture planned to stop replenishing accounts in the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. And President Trump has appeared to suggest on social media that the United States will resume testing nuclear weapons for the first time in 3 decades. There was no indication that the U.S. would start detonating warheads. However, the president offered few details about what seemed to be a significant shift in U.S. policy. Overnight clear skies with a low of 42 degrees. For tomorrow, sunny and 60. For Halloween evening, as the trick-or-treaters head out, looks like don't need to bundle up. We'll have clear skies with temperatures in the upper 40s to around 50, 51 degrees. Right now, it's 56 in St. Peter's, 57 in Florissant, and downtown at the Arch, we're at 57. I'm Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
Hey, this is Charlie Brennan. Have you noticed loose bricks or missing mortar around your house, on the walls, the patios, the walkways, the porch, or the chimneys? If so, you need to call Morelli Tuck Pointing. 314-645-1387. You might need one of two things: solid tuck pointing, the removal of old mortar with the replacement of new mortar throughout an entire wall or chimney, or maybe just spot tuck pointing. Spot tuck pointing involves the tuck pointing of a particular wall, a chimney, or other masonry surface in an area where it's needed the most. One example might be settlement cracks, usually found above or below windows or doorways. 314-645-1387. Call the company that the Brennans have called when we've needed tuck pointing. Morelli Tuck Pointing, the masonry specialists. Winner of the Angie's List Super Service Award every year since 2005. 314-645-1387, MorelliTuckPointing.com.
At Bank of America, we asked our people, how do you take ownership of your career?
I'm able to grow my way by putting the priorities that I have for my career first.
I thrive on being a leader who's behind the team, not in front of the team.
Every few years, I'm being re-energized because I get to do something different and learn something new.
See how our teammates are growing in their careers at bankofamerica.com/great place to work. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America, proud to be an equal opportunity employer.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. All investments involve risk, including loss of principal. Options, futures, and crypto trading carry significant risk and may not suit all investors. Securities offered through Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Futures trading is offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Crypto offered through Robinhood Crypto LLC, NMLS ID 1702840, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Portfolio management offered by Robinhood Strategies, an SEC registered advisor.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. So as you know, I'm a lawyer, haven't practiced in a long time, but I did plaintiff's work and defense work, so I have a pretty good understanding of it. I have a pretty good idea of who's who in the firmament of plaintiffs' attorneys. And for my money, Mark Cantor is the guy. He's a great attorney. He is a great practitioner. He's put together a great team. He was born and raised here. He lives here. He works here. He wins here. Call 314-628-ALL-9s or CantorInjuryLaw.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based on advertising.
Cardinal Cowboy here. After a coma, a miracle, and the fight of my life, I made it back to the games wearing my signature cowboy hat and jersey. Then came the baseball pants, the replica trophy, and the smiles and joy from the young fans. That's when the Cardinal Cowboy was born. Renner Garage Store knows how to bring joy too. With top brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster, and family service you can trust, get your free repair or replacement quote today. Forward and back. Giddy up!
RENNER, RENNER.
Celebrate the spooky season with Zero Res and get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129. Take 15% off your air duct and dryer vent cleaning. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com and take advantage of the huge savings.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-269-3454. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-269-3454 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-269-3454 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-269-3454.
Retirement shouldn't feel like balancing a checkbook while blindfolded. I'm Gary Goldberg, and my team helps you see the big picture so you can retire younger, richer, and with less anxiety. Because guessing is not a strategy. Tune in to Wealth and Wisdom with Gary Goldberg Saturday mornings at 7 here on KMOX.
This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Back in on Rush Hour Sports. Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here, shifting to college football and more specifically to conversations about Eli Drinkwitz. No game this week for Mizzou, so they get an off week before taking on Texas A&M. But Coach Drink is one of the hot names out there, Matt. A bunch of high-profile jobs available, the biggest ones so far, LSU, Florida, and Penn State. And I've seen a lot of the national guys link Drink to, rhymes, link Drink to all of those jobs, but especially the SEC jobs.
Yeah, so we're kind of waiting on Lane Kiffin. If Kiffin wants to leave Ole Miss, it seems like he can have whatever job he would probably like. Florida seems to be a better fit than LSU for Kiffin, but that's my opinion. If Kiffin doesn't go, I think Drinkwitz might be the next name that they go to. And I know Missouri and the folks, the stakeholders around Missouri athletics will do everything they can to keep him around. I guess the question,
as they should, yeah,
as they should. The question that you're going to have for Drinkwitz is, I know the ceilings can be higher at a Florida, at an LSU, but what's the better program right now? You can make the argument that he's got Missouri in a better place right now than he does there. And if he is going to leave Missouri at some point, does he want to get Mizzou basically as far as they can go? Does he want to leave Mizzou at least with a college football playoff berth on his resume? I don't know if that matters to him or not. I don't know what his priorities are. He's at a place that's given him basically everything that he has asked for in his time there, and there's something good about that. He has more job security at Missouri than he would have anywhere else. But at the end of the day, Kevin, if Florida or LSU is going to go pay him a lot more money than Missouri can afford to pay him, and he feels like he's closer to a national championship by going to one of those places, I think it's going to be hard to get him to stay.
All right, we're going to keep up this conversation coming up next. I got a few thoughts on those priorities. Not that we know what he thinks, just kind of looking at it from our own views and what we know about the college football landscape. Before we do that, though, let's get a quick check of traffic and see what's going on with Captain Roger Brand.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, we still got delays out there. This traffic reports a service of Financial and Tax Strategies. Eastbound 270 is getting better, but it's still slow, pretty heavy from 367 most of the way across the Chain Rocks Bridge from earlier troubles. Eastbound 70 downtown, that's getting better, but it's still slow Salisbury to the Musial Veterans. That was an alternate for a while for folks. Westbound and eastbound 70 still busy between 270 and the Blanchette Bridge. If you're on 64 westbound, backed up Kings Highway to Clayton Skinker. Eastbound is slow from Lindbergh all the way into Big Bend. South 170 backs up south of Olive. South 270 is on the brakes. Olive to Ladue, but both ways still pretty busy between Olive and Manchester on 270. Westbound 64 in the Valley. Top Golf to the Boone Bridge is still slow, but after that, you're in the clear. We have a stall in the left lane, westbound 44, just west of the Merrimack, jamming traffic back at 270. And westbound 64 is still a short backup through 158. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
All right, picking it back up on the college football discussion with Coach Drinkwitz. So when we look at this, like zoom out, Matt, Eli Drinkwitz is already one of the highest paid coaches in college football. He has the 11th highest annual salary in college football. He's $9 million a year, which is exactly what Lane Kiffin makes at Ole Miss. And it's only $1 million or so less than what Brian Kelly made at LSU. Billy Napier doesn't make anywhere near that. He's not even in the top 20. And James Franklin was 8.5. Now, I think all three of those places, though, are going to be paying more. They're going to be paying more at the top end of the scale. So let's just call it $12 million. You're probably looking at that. So there are a couple possible scenarios here. One, Coach Drinkwitz talks to everybody, and then Mizzou ponies up and says, all right, we're going to give you $3 more million a year. Which really, if you're happy with the direction of the program, is not that big a deal, right? I mean, you've got the stadium being completed. You've been relevant in the SEC for a number of years under Coach Drink. He's popular. He works the portal well. There are a lot of really good things going on there. And I think there's just a possibility that he may just get a raise out of this to stay at Mizzou and raise an extension, right? Give him a few more years. I think he signed through 2029. Maybe you kick that out to 2031, 2032 and give him $12 million a year.
Probably increase the assistant coaches pool.
Yeah, all of those. And probably he's going to want more NIL money, right? He's going to want more of a commitment there. Because when people ask, why would you leave Mizzou for LSU or Florida, especially given the drama around those programs, right? Well, one, they will pay top dollar, but I think there's a chance he could get that to stay at Mizzou. But those will have, because they're bigger schools and with bigger booster bases, they're probably going to get more NIL money, and that's a big deal. They're also in bigger recruiting hotbeds. They just are. Florida is the top recruiting hotbed in the eastern half of the country. Other than Florida, it's California and Texas. And by the way, Pennsylvania is one of those top 5 recruiting places. So if you're looking at Penn State, every kid in Pennsylvania wants to go to Penn State. So I think that there's a prestige thing at those schools, and I think that prestige brings with it a greater opportunity to win a national championship.
Yes. I do think the transfer portal has limited the hotbed. There's always going to be kids who want to stay home. I'm not running away from that at all. So you're always going to have the advantage of getting some in-state kids that are want to stay home or come back home even in the transfer
that's
portal.
The underrated part, right? Is maybe some of those kids left the state and now they're like, I guess I wouldn't mind coming back.
Right. So that's always going to be there. But the stay home, come back home thing has largely been mitigated in the transfer portal, where it feels like it's just about the relationships and it's about the recruiting, and you're not a high school kid anymore where the coach is coming and visiting with mom and dad and telling you what college is going to be like. It's a very different world right now when you are recruiting kids who have already had some time in college. There are advantages, though, that Florida and LSU have that Missouri does not have. The Missouri administration has been working to limit those advantages for a while. It is a great game day environment. The facilities are top notch.
And they're getting better.
They are. You don't feel like Mizzou didn't previously feel like an SEC experience. It does now. They're not a school that doesn't fit inside of that league. And Drinkwitz, much like Lane Kiffin, I mean, those two guys are two of the best guys in all of college football when it comes to working the portal, and that is largely why Missouri has been able to do what they've done over the last few years.
Yeah, it's a really tough question, because here's the thing. As you lay it out, money's probably going to be close, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Again, these bigger schools will offer you more than you're making now, but your school could match it or come close. So money's probably not the biggest difference. NIL money or staff money might be a big difference. What's available to you in that regard? I think that's important because getting talent is what it's all about. There's no surprise. It's why Alabama won all those years. Look at all those players in the NFL. Yeah, they coached them up, but they got the 5 stars. And you don't get many 5 stars at Mizzou.
You don't.
You get them occasionally, but you don't get them very often. And you get them all the time at LSU in Florida. If you're coaching, if you're doing a good job as a coach. I think the odds of a championship probably go up at one of those schools, but maybe not a lot. I mean, you're in the same conference. So it's not like a big step up in prestige in terms of where you're playing. It is more about those commitments and that NIL commitment that could lead you to have a better chance. But then there's another part of this. If you go there, who's to say you're not the next Brian Kelly or the next Billy Napier, where if you have 2 mediocre years, they run you out. If Drink just keeps doing what he's doing, he's pretty solid at Mizzou for a long time. And some people value stability.
Yeah, but also I don't think no coach goes into a job and says, man, this might not work out, but I'll go ahead and take the money now. Like if Drinkwitz, I'm sure, looks at every single job in America and feels like he can win a national title there. That's the confidence you have to have as a coach. So what you're saying, Kevin, is right, but I don't think that plays into his decision-making process because he's got all the confidence in the world that he can go to that next place and do even more than he's doing somewhere else.
I agree with that. That's not really what I mean. What I mean is you could be doing your job there, and his best season at 11-2 is great. Like that's good. Anything less than that at LSU in Florida, you're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
And, last year he was 10-3. That's not bad. But 10-3 with a Music City Bowl is not playing at Florida and LSU if you're doing it every year. And he's got 2 bowl wins in his time. Now, keeping in mind that he had to come in and rebuild Mizzou. He had to start from the very beginning, and he took over in the COVID year. So he's done an amazing job. This is not diminishing that. I'm just saying that the level that they're at now, and if they lose another game or 2, if you're going 3 or 4 losses a year, even if that's the most you could have gotten out of that team, you're getting fired at LSU in Florida for that.
Yep, you are. And that's part of this. I more than anything else, I hope he stays at Mizzou, and I hope he uses this as an opportunity to raise Mizzou that much more. Yeah, stop losing your coordinators to these programs that we talk about. That's one of the differences. You
pay them and keep them.
When you lose your coordinators to the LSU of the world, well, then that means you're playing on a different playing field. So that's the next step here for Drinkwitz to get to a point where another school cannot offer one of his assistant coaches a better opportunity in what on paper is a lateral move.
That's Matt Pauley. I'm Kevin Wheeler. Stick around. We got one more segment on Rush Hour Sports. I almost said Sports on the Line. That's coming up after the 6 o'clock news here on KMOX.
I'm Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. Fraud and scams can strike anyone. My office works to ensure that Missouri is free from deception and unfair practices. Last year, we handled over 65,000 consumer complaints and returned more than $400 million to Missourians. If you've been a victim of fraud, call 800-392-8222 or visit ago.mo.gov.
Paid for by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Missouri can count on.
I'm Ultima Morgan. Every year, almost 30,000 babies in America are born with birth injuries. It's every parent's worst nightmare. If your child suffered a birth injury, please call our firm to find out if we can help.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you. Big news! Golden Oak is now your one-stop shop with Golden Oak Premier Realty and Golden Oak Lending. Buy, sell, or refinance and save thousands.
Golden Oak Lending, short my blues.
NMLS 114937.
Looking for your dream home in Wentzville? Welcome to Sutton Farms by Lombardo Homes, where community and comfort come together. Enjoy resort-style living with a private clubhouse, indoor courts, a splash pad, sand volleyball, walking trails, and even a dog park. Choose from our newest Parkside series, or design your own custom home in our nature or traditional series, all within the top-rated Wentzville School District. Discover the perfect blend of small-town charm and modern convenience at Sutton Farms, located off Piney Road in Wentzville. Visit lombardohomes.com to learn more.
Traffic from the michaelsflooringoutlet.com traffic center.
Well, we've still got a little bit of a backup in North County eastbound 270, Bellefonte toward Lilac. Then it's slow to Riverview from numerous earlier crashes. If you're on southbound 170, you're still backed up Delmar to 64 in pockets. Blues game traffic eastbound 64 a little busy in the right lanes east of Mason and bogged down from Lindbergh all the way to Big Bend. Westbound 64 Science Center headed out through Bellevue slow. Just a little busy at the Boone Bridge and at Prospect, not that bad out west. Southbound 270 Olive down to Ladue is a little heavy. Got a new crash westbound 30 at New Sugar Creek. Traffic's backed up to about LaKenney Lane. There is lane blockage involved there. Southbound 55 a little slow at Bates. Also a little slow 44 approaching the 55 split. I'm Roger Brand in the michaelsflooringoutlet.com traffic center.
Rush Hour Sports continues on 104.1 FM KMOX.
All right, well, we got a few more minutes here on Rush Hour Sports before Sports Open Line. You got a little short Sports Open Line tonight leading into Thursday Night Football, and it's the Ravens and Dolphins in Miami pregame starting at 6:30. Let's get a couple of messages in off the chat, Matt. We got that rhymes too. I'm rhyming tonight, man. I don't know what's going on.
You're a poet and you didn't know it.
just the way I am. A couple of things here. We got a couple of baseball ones here. And we had a question from Cole Bassett's left foot, which I thought to the drink conversation about why stay in the SEC. Foot, this is, I think, pretty simple. The SEC is where the money and the players are. And you're already there and you're already recruiting those areas. And I think, to me, that I wouldn't leave this conference if I was in it. I mean, I would go to the Big Ten. Like if Penn State came at me with one of those Godfather offers, I'd be okay with that too.
The SEC is the league that gives you the best chance to win a national title. It's the deepest league. Many years, it's the most top-heavy league as well. This year, it's not. That's the Big Ten this year.
Yeah.
But many year, the SEC always has the depth. The last place team in the SEC is always going to be closer to the top of that league than every other league.
Absolutely. We got a baseball one from Aaron. He says, I'm just preparing to be disappointed in the Cardinals offseason, 5 to 10 year rebuild until proven wrong. Well, when nobody can prove that wrong now, so fine, go ahead and believe it. The only way you're going to be disappointed this offseason is if you set standards that nobody else expects, Aaron. They're not signing anybody big. They're not trading for any big major league players. They are going to be trading away some major league players to build the overall talent in the system and maybe signing some complementary guys to fill out the bullpen and maybe the rotation. But if you're disappointed, you're putting expectations on there that aren't realistic. They're not happening.
Aaron and I have gone back and forth on this, and we'll see when this team is back competing, and hopefully Kevin, you and I are still doing the show at that point, and we can bring it back.
It better not be that long, man.
Yeah. But it's not something that
I got years left on a contract.
There you go. That's good. That is good to hear. It's a year where next season is probably going to look from a roster standpoint, from a talent standpoint, somewhat similar to what they had this past year. And hopefully there's going to be some guys who take steps forward and maybe they're a little bit better, but there's not going to be any guarantee of that. But what did we talk about in the first segment? They're adding this position. They're adding this position. They're doing this. Like they are building from the ground up. And if you want this team to get back to being a legitimate World Series contender, you have to build from the ground up. If you want it to be a consistent thing. And people who poo-poo on that, I got nothing for you.
Yeah.
Because this is how you build things back up.
And they're not starting from zero. You've got a lot of good major league players there. You just don't have enough, and you don't have enough at the top end of the roster. And you don't go sign those because they're super expensive, and when you're wrong, it screws you for a decade. So ask the Angels about the Albert contract, just as an example. It really puts you in a bad spot when you're signing older players to big money rather than keeping your own guys. But yeah, you've got most of what you need. What you don't have, and again, this is not about like there isn't going to be an offseason. The offseason is going to be boosting the overall talent level, probably not the name value. So don't be thinking big stars. Be thinking about young players being added to the mix. And obviously, Weatherholt and Liam Doyle and those guys making their progress too. But I also wouldn't write this team off as trash either. There's a big difference between there. Middling is probably the fair expectation for competitiveness. And obviously, we got a whole offseason to break all that stuff down. Have a fun have a fun, short sports open line, my friend. Sometimes you got to slow down, buddy.
I will do that for a half hour.
All right, so we got a half-hour sports open line and then Thursday Night Football coming your way here on KMOX.
DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is coming soon. DraftKings Sportsbook brings you everything you need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning-fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live December 1st. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-2085. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085 or biglou.com.
Are you an HR manager, business owner, or leader looking to retain your best people? Nearly 1 in 4 employees is caring for an aging loved one, a challenge that often leads to distraction, absenteeism, and costly turnover. The CARES program from Age Smart Community Resources connects your employees to expert caregiver support, helping them stay focused and productive at work. Discover how CARES can boost retention, improve ROI, and cut costs for your business. Visit hmart.org or call 618-222-2561. Proudly serving 7 counties in Southwest Illinois.
KMOX welcomes Trans-Siberian Orchestra, The Ghosts of Christmas Eve at Enterprise Center, December 23rd at 3 p.m. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. A portion of the proceeds benefits Siteman Kids at St. Louis Children's Hospital. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, The Ghosts of Christmas Eve at Enterprise Center, December 23rd at 3 p.m. For more information, KMOX.com/events.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, it looks like we have a crash southbound 270. It looks like it's in the westbound 70 exit lane just past the Rock Road, backing up traffic there. Blues game traffic southbound 170 is on the brakes at the Parkway to 64. Eastbound 64 bunches up periodically from Lindbergh to about Big Bend. Westbound 64 Science Center out through McCausland is slow. They cleared that incident westbound 44 west of 270. Things look good there. Looks like they cleared the crash westbound 30 at New Sugar Creek. Still some heavy traffic coming out from LaKinney. Big jams on 50 going into Union. Westbound's backed up to the Walmart. Eastbound's backed up to 47 North. We've had a couple of crashes reported in the area there. And if you're downtown, eastbound 70 slow, Salisbury to the Musial Veterans. For the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
The trusted voice of St. Louis. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
feeding Americans during shutdown.
Today, I'm officially declaring an emergency.
Buckingham Palace announcement.
Prince Andrew will lose his title of prince.
Hurricane impacted Jamaica.
One town, you could literally say totally destroyed.
This is the CBS World News Roundup Late Edition. I'm Jennifer Kuiper. 30 days into the government shutdown, New York Governor Kathy Hochul says with the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program set to pause this weekend,
this is a food emergency, and I want to unleash every tool at our disposal to keep New Yorkers from going hungry.
Massachusetts is seeking a court order to force the Trump administration to continue funding SNAP benefits.
Those benefits are due to become a victim of the government shutdown Saturday. Governor Maura Healey says the USDA is sitting on a $23 billion contingency fund that should be used to keep SNAP benefits flowing, as has been done in past shutdowns.
This president has made a decision to not provide those funds.
In the meantime, Massachusetts will try to meet some of the need.
As a state, we are going to advance $4 million to our food banks, which support over 800 community organizations around the state.
Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Short staffing due to the shutdown causes more delays and cancellations at U.S. airports. Vice President J.D. Vance blames Democrats for playing politics.
We are happy to talk about any policy issue. We're happy to talk about healthcare policy. We're happy to talk about tax policy. We're happy to talk about regulatory policy, but not at the point of a gun.
The Orlando airport is currently in a ground delay program, and there are also ground delays at Ronald Reagan Airport near D.C. and in Dallas, Texas. King Charles is stripping his brother Andrew of his remaining titles and evicting him from his royal residence. Reporter Catherine Arms in the UK.
Prince Andrew will now be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Buckingham Palace says Andrew loses the title of prince and will vacate his 30-room mansion on the royal estate outside London. The palace says Prince Andrew has been given formal notice to surrender the lease, and he will move to the royal estate in Sandringham, east of London. This is all down to his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, the convicted sex offender. Andrew denies any wrongdoing.
Family of Andrew's accuser, Virginia Giuffre, say her courage brought down a prince. People across the northern Caribbean are digging out from the destruction of Hurricane Melissa as deaths climb to at least 28 across Haiti, Jamaica, and the Dominican Republic. Jamaican Prime Minister Andrew Holness viewed the impact to his island from the air.
For the southwestern end of the island, it is serious damage. And in some instances, total devastation.
Melissa has turned toward Bermuda and is expected to rapidly deteriorate. Stocks fell on Wall Street. The Dow fell 110 points. NASDAQ plunged 377. Now this.
The annual Progressive Keys to Progress program provides vehicles to deserving veterans, helping our heroes drive their lives forward. Learn more at keystoprogress.com.
At 6:03, we have a mix of sun and clouds and 57 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Maria Kina in for Michael Calhoun. Our top story, the city of St. Louis has a new interim sheriff, and it's a familiar name to St. Louisans.
Former St. Louis City Police Chief John Hayden is now the interim sheriff for the city, officially taking the role on Monday. Here he is explaining in his own words why he decided to accept this role.
The main motivation for me accepting the job is the city has called me, and I accept that as an honor that they've called me and asked for me, and I'm willing to serve in that capacity.
Hayden was non-committal to any major changes, but did leave the door open to entering his name as a candidate in a special election should it get to that point. In the Carnahan Courthouse, Sean Malone, KMOX News.
The city of St. Louis is fast-tracking 3 bills ahead of the winter months, acknowledging the challenges facing tornado victims and other unhoused people that they'll face this winter. There are over $13 million. Mayor Kara Spencer shares some of the impact of these funds and what they'll do.
At least 200 new beds as a part of this package. As well, we are targeting of having shelter space for 1,000 people that are impacted by the tornado.
Spencer says the city-operated warming buses will be making a return this year. Congresswoman Nikki Buzinski posted on Facebook that her office has received deeply concerning reports that a beloved member of the Staunton, Illinois community, who is a local business owner, father, and resident of the city over 20 years, was detained by ICE today after dropping his children off at elementary school. She says this is unacceptable. Myself and Senator Durbin are now working urgently to obtain information about his status and to ensure that he is released and reunited with his family immediately. Well, 1 in 4 military families is experiencing food insecurity. Shannon Resident is CEO of the Military Family Advisory Network.
It's a stressor that really interferes with everything from the family's well-being to our force readiness. And right now what we're seeing is that the Guard and Reserve community did not, for the most part, get the mid-month pay in October. And now military families who, like I said, are living paycheck to paycheck are really nervous about what might happen if their pay is delayed.
Residents says many military families rely on that single income often because spouses more often are not employed. And that means there's not a lot of left at the end of the month. The WIC program for low-income mothers and young children will continue in Missouri despite the government shutdown, at least through November. Governor Kehoe also announcing more than $15.5 million would be transferred to area agencies on aging to provide meals for seniors as well as the population in food banks. However, the governor says there is nothing available to replace the SNAP benefits that will run out this Saturday. Well, if you need some advice on how to keep your little ghost and goblin safe tomorrow night, KMOX's health editor Fred Bonimer has the answer.
Dr. Tiffany Osborne is a WashU emergency medicine and critical care physician at Barnes-Jewish Hospital. Her first tip is to be safe on the streets.
Pedestrian injuries spike on Halloween, and according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, this is a significant number of injuries. So when trick-or-treating, stick to sidewalks and crosswalks, use flashlights and reflective gear, and walk in groups. Stay in familiar neighborhoods, and only visit homes that have their lights on.
Other tips include only let your kids use specially designed knives to carve a pumpkin. Avoid candy with choking hazards or allergy risks. Don't let them wear masks that obscure their vision, and choose costumes that fit properly so they don't become a tripping hazard. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
And at 6:06, let's head to the KMOX Traffic Center and get the latest from Roger Brand.
Well, we still have some busy traffic in a couple of spots, Maria. This traffic reports a service at Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing. One of them southbound 170 backed up from Ladue to 64. Eastbound 64 is stop-and-go pockets east of Lindbergh into Big Bend. Westbound 64 Hampton through Bellevue. That's still just a touch slow. Minor crash southbound 270 in the westbound 70 exit lane. Just before you get on to westbound 70, the traffic in those right lanes backed up through the Rock Road. Westbound 30, still seeing a little bit of a backup coming into New Sugar Creek. Not quite back to LaKenney, but still backed up. We had a crash there, so that's still difficult. Downtown, a little volume. Eastbound 70 passing Salisbury, but otherwise the rest of the highways are in good shape. Still seeing delays both directions on 50 at 47 South. Westbound's backed up near the Walmart. Eastbound's backed up near 47 North. A couple of crashes were in that area. I'm Roger Brand in the Michael's Flooring Outlet.com Traffic Center.
Our rain is over. It's shifting just to our south and to our east. It will continue to shift away this evening. And late tonight, skies become partly cloudy. It stays breezy. It's kind of cold. 42 for the overnight low. Rainfall is now above average for 2025. What an amazing swing in the month of October. On Thursday, sunshine in full force. Chilly day, but we'll take it. 58 for the high. It's supposed to be chilly this time of year. Then on Thursday night, clear and cold, 40 degrees. Friday, sunny, breezy, 60. Friday night, Halloween. During the evening, temperatures will be in the upper 40s and low 50s. Overnight, down to 41 degrees. Saturday, partly sunny skies. Another little cold front coming by. It's pretty weak, but let's not rule out the possibility on Saturday of a sprinkle or two. I think it'll be hard to find. 55 for the high with a northwest flow on Saturday. Sunday, sunny and 59 degrees. Don't forget, time change weekend on Sunday. We are going to see our sunset at 5 o'clock in the afternoon as we set our clocks back 1 hour before going to bed Saturday night. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Dave Murray on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
55 degrees right now in St. Peter's. It's 55 in Florissant and downtown at the Arch. Now we've dropped down to 55. I'm Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
Come on, let's get going now. From KMOX Sports. We're primed and ready. All day, baby. Man, let's go. This is the Gray Bar Sports Open Live. Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is a Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley. Have you for a very limited amount of time, just less than a half hour, about 20 more minutes to go here before we get into coverage of Thursday Night Football tonight. The Ravens and the Dolphins, coverage from Westwood One Sports, will begin tonight at 6:30. So let's jump right into it and go with the news of the day. Katie Wu from The Athletic wrote an interesting piece today, really going through some of the things that Chaim Bloom is doing in terms of staffing changes with the Cardinals. And it's not really so much staffing changes, but it's more about staffing additions. Kind of a quick rundown. As always, I encourage you, if you have the means to do so, to be a subscriber to The Athletic, and you could go read the story yourself and get a little bit more context than what we'll give you here in just a few minutes to talk about this. But the Cardinals are going to add, evidently, a new director of player acquisition, and that individual is going to lead the professional scouting department. That is somewhat notable. We're living in a time right now across professional baseball where scouts are the scouting staffs for a lot of teams are being gutted, and organizations believe that you can do a lot of this scouting via video and digitally. And Chaim Bloom, to his credit, since the moment that he walked in, he said it's got to be both. That you still have to have scouts, actual human beings, eyes that are looking at things. So they're going to add to that area, and they're going to bring in a director of player acquisition. They're going to bring in a new international scouting director. This is a really big deal. This is an area where the Cardinals have not had the success that other organizations have had, and we know how international this game has become. So if you can go start making some more headway in the international market, that's going to go a long way. They last year, if you remember, in the offseason when they added a lot to the organization, they brought in a director of pitching in Matt Pierpont, and Pierpont basically oversaw the pitching strategy for the entire organization from the big league level all the way down through the minor leagues. Well, they are going to hire a director of hitting who's going to be very similar to what Pierpont did, but he's going to oversee the hitting strategy from an organizational wide standpoint. And then they're making a change when it comes to their head athletic trainer, as Adam Olson is still going to be inside of the organization, but instead he's going to move to a front office position where, according to Katie's report, he'll continue to serve as the director of medical training, but his new role is going to involve overseeing the training staff from an organization-wide approach. So they are going to try to create some uniformity when it comes to even athletic training from the major league level all the way down. That seems to be, of everything that happened today, I guess the two things that jump out at me, like if we take, and they also say that they're going to add a couple positions to the coaching staff, and a couple guys who have been on the uniform coaching staff will stay in the organization, but will move more into strategy roles where they're not uniformed coaches. Basically, the two things that jump out at me here is the Cardinals, Chaim Bloom, the DeWitts, they are following through on the previous commitment that they had made to augment the organization, to add individuals to make it better. And we spend so much time talking about the very successful organizations in baseball, whether it's a team like the Dodgers that spend tons and tons of money, but also do a lot of other things the right way, or a team like the Brewers that don't spend a lot of money, but again, do things the right way. If you do things the right way, if you have enough staff, if you have enough infrastructure, if you have enough data and technology components, if you have all of that, you've got the opportunity to start getting some wins. In so much is on the margins where you win the margins, and you start to do that a little bit more. And I think the report today from Katie Wu is another sign that this organization is doing what they need to do. Look, I get it. There's going to be people who look at whatever the roster ends up being this upcoming season, and it's not going to include, in all likelihood, a major acquisition, and they're going to be upset about that. And that's fine. Like, I'm not telling you that you feel wrong in that. There's people who believe that the Cardinals should be investing all of this money that they have at the major league level and still doing the other stuff, but it shouldn't stop them from spending gobs of money at the major league level. I would respectfully disagree, but at the same time, I kind of understand where they're, I don't kind of understand, I do understand where they're coming from. But if you want to have a sustainable organization that can get back to being a legitimate playoff contender and a World Series contender, you got to do some of the stuff that was reported today. So we have a short show today. We're not going to be able to really dive in on this. We'll probably do that a little bit more in some future shows, especially as these hires get made. Hopefully we can talk to some of these people as well who get hired for these positions, because I think that's good for fans to kind of hear what those folks think. In addition to Thursday night football going on, you know what else is going on tonight? The Blues are in action. They're going to match up against the Vancouver Canucks. They're trying to end this losing streak. We're going to hear from Jim Montgomery coming up in just a few moments. He spoke to the media earlier today. Some of his comments on the way next. It's Graybar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
In the 70s, baseball player Jerry Kelly decided to do something different.
Thanks for calling, Jerry Kelly, Heating and Air Conditioning.
This year, the company Jerry started decided we'd do something different.
Thanks for calling Jerry Kelly Heating, Air, and Electrical.
And electrical.
JerryKelly.com.
This is James Hawkins, president of Golden Oak. I am excited to announce the opening of Golden Oak Premier Realty. That means we're your one-stop shop for financing and buying your home. One team, one goal, your home. Not moving? Now is still the time. Your home's equity is higher than ever. And with our 4.5% mortgage rate, you could save over $1,000 every month. Use your equity to pay off high-interest credit cards, lower your monthly payment, or even skip 2 months of mortgage payments. And don't forget, if your loan doesn't close, we'll pay for your appraisal. We make the process fast and easy, often getting your cash in as little as 14 days. Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing, call Golden Oak today and let us put our 25 years of experience to work for you. Call 314-567-GOLD.
Golden Oak Land Insured My Blues.
5.442 APR, FHA 15-year, 20% equity, qualified credit, additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Attention business owners with a net income over $500,000. You need to work with a tax strategist that understands your entrepreneurial mindset. Download the most recent white paper written by E3 Consultants Group titled The Power of a Professional Tax Strategy Team. Go to e3wealth.com/radio to obtain a copy. It's time to learn about wealth and tax strategies that protect your personal and business economy. E3 is ready to help you think differently about your finances. Educate, empower, enlighten. That's the E3 difference.
Hey, it's Tom Ackerman. Underdog, the best place to get in on all the action during football season. Football season is in full swing, and that means Underdog is alive and well. You can select entries, and you can win money right now in Missouri. You just choose whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats. Or maybe they aren't your favorite players, but you just think that they're going to go higher or lower on a certain number, whether it's touchdowns, receptions, rushing yards, receiving yards, etc. They have all kinds of entries. You get them right, you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. It's Underdog. Download the app and use promo code TOM. Sign up with promo code TOM to score $100 in bonus funds or bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code TOM. Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
From your friends at Lombardo Homes, congrats to Dave Glover and the DGS Show on 25 years of building something great. Thanks for keeping St. Louis entertained, informed, and laughing all along the way.
The Woodlands of Arnold campus offers skilled rehab, a beautiful assisted living community, and a secure memory care to keep your loved ones safe. Check us out at rspseniorliving.com. That's rspseniorliving.com.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
Back at on a Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. We are starting to wrap things up. We've got a short program tonight. That's because we have Thursday night football, the Ravens and the Dolphins from Miami, and our coverage from Westwood One Sports will begin in just a little while at 6:30. Also going on tonight, the St. Louis Blues, they are in action. They are trying to end a 5-game losing streak, and tonight they are at home as they match up against the Vancouver Canucks. That's going to be a 7 o'clock puck drop over at the Enterprise Center. Blues coach Jim Montgomery speaking with the media earlier today, just after morning skate, wanted to go through some of the things that he had to say. During morning skate, as you might expect, there was a lot of focus on what the Blues want to do from a defensive standpoint, and he talked through what they were trying to accomplish this morning.
Just protecting middle ice. We just, the numbers analytically don't make sense with O-zone time and D-zone time that we're spending. Like, we're fourth in the league in D-zone time. Usually that's a great thing, but we're giving up home runs, like I said, after last game too quickly. Like, we get into our zone in 6 seconds, there's a chance in the middle of the ice. And that's what the purpose of the drill was.
There seems to be so much attention right now from Montgomery, and rightfully so, about the fact that the Blues are just giving up way too many grade A chances, that teams are skating into the offensive zone against the Blues, and very quickly they are getting really good looks at the net. So the big question is, how does that stop happening?
We're not playing well defensively. We're not spending a lot of time in our end. That doesn't mean we're playing well defensively. That was my point of the analytics don't match the eye. Because the analytics, usually if you're not spending a lot of time in your D zone, usually it's because you're spending a lot of time in the O zone and you're catching people in 3/4 ice, or you're doing a really good job defensively. But we're not coming into our D zone doing a good enough job defensively. So that's the premise of protecting good ice. Spend a little more time in your own end, but make sure that they're not getting one-timers from the slot.
Offensively, the lines have been shuffled once again, and the second line is going to feature Dalibor Dvorsky as the centerman between left winger Matthew Joseph and right winger Jordan Kyrou. That certainly is an interesting line for sure, and head coach Jim Montgomery explained why he put Dvorsky between Joseph and Kyrou.
We want to give the kid a chance to have success. So let's give him a really dynamic offensive winger, and let's give him a winger that checks and really goes hard, like at both ends of the ice, and knows the details of our game. So I think it's a good mix of wingers. And I think Matty Joe also has been doing a lot of good things offensively. So his speed, driving the net, being at the net. I think there's a lot of things to complement our, Devo, who could have, we think is an offensive centerman that can drive a line.
The top line is going to be Braden Shin in the middle of Pavel Buchnevich and Jimmy Snuggerud. And then the third line now has Pew Suter centering Dylan Holloway on the left side and Oscar Sundquist on the right side. And Montgomery is clearly excited to see how those three work together.
All three of them work. All three of them can check. So it's a line that I feel comfortable if I need to match up against maybe Pettersson's line or whoever. Sundquist is he's like a binky for a kid, for a coach, because you put him anywhere you want on the ice and he's going to do the right thing. Defensively, offensively, he covers, he goes to the hard areas. So he allows, 81 to hunt pucks, get pucks, skate pucks, and hang on to pucks on the outside while he can get into the interior ice.
You can tell that's a line that Montgomery likes, getting into some of the specifics of that line. Sundquist is going to be playing on the right wing, and Montgomery says that Sundquist is the kind of hockey player that every coach loves to have.
It's his intelligence, and he has a team-first attitude. He doesn't care about getting any credit. He doesn't. Everything in his fiber is whatever needs to get the job done to help the team win. And that's what makes him a binky as a coach.
And then Pew Suter in the middle brings many of those same attributes.
Well, I got two binkies on the same line now. But yes, I feel the same way. His intelligence, he never leaves bad ice for no reason. and give up a danger chance. Like we just did that D-zone coverage, and he's holding the net front. They pass it right on his tape. And in a game, we'd be ready to go the other way. Like he just understands that part of managing the game really well.
There's a fair amount of binky talk today during Jim Montgomery's media session. Final thing, they match up against Vancouver tonight. Blues come in with a record of 3-6-1. The Canucks, they are 5-6-0. That being said, they're probably a little bit better than their record would indicate. They do come in having lost 4 of their last 5. That being said, Montgomery does believe that Vancouver is going to provide a very good challenge for the Blues tonight.
A team that is playing really good right now, in the sense that they're connected, 5 guys, 5-on-5 in all 3 zones from everything I've seen. They defend the middle of the ice really well, and they're using the back of the net really well offensively.
It's the Blues and the Canucks. Puck drop tonight at 7 o'clock over at the Enterprise Center. And that is going to do it for this edition of the program. Again, we are done early today because we have Thursday night football. We've got the Ravens and the Dolphins. Coverage from Westwood One Sports is set to begin in just a few minutes at 6:30. Thanks for being tuned in. I am out tomorrow. I believe Scott Warman's going to be in tomorrow hosting the program, so certainly looking forward to that. So be tuned in, and then I will talk to you again coming up on Monday right here on KMOX.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty.